Hello everybody. We are going to start chapter 28 and we've only got another 10 chapters in this book, and then I'm going on to the third and last book of the series. So I wish you a happy Christmas as well, and a good year, Christmas Eve today, so have a good day and tomorrow. I'll try to get another chapter in. I don't know if I can, but I'll try, okay? Thank you. Chapter 28, when we get to the definition, that's the shop, the New Age shop, I already have two texts from Fiona and Lily asking where I am. How on earth do I answer that question? I'm with that guy we hate. The shop is empty and Nuala is doing a stock check, scratching her hairline with a pen as she consults her list. She looks up when the bell over the door sounds, and her warm smile at seeing me quickly dissolves in confusion when she sees me who I'm with. He's here to help us, I say quickly. Aaron just nods in confirmation. He's going to tell us everything he knows about the children of Bridget. That's the cob. I go on. He's told me a lot already. We are going to stop the well drain. We are going to get rid of them. Aaron shrugs as if he agrees with this in theory but doubts it in practice. Nuala clocks his expression right away. Are you Aaron? I'll do my best. I cough loudly. Aggressively, I'll do better than that, he clarifies. Nuala's eyes slide from me to him, adding something up. Maeve, she says, where is the flask? I have it in my bag, I replied hesitantly. Yeah, I drank it by mistake. Nuala puts her head in her hands. What are you talking about? Aaron asks tentatively. Maeve, I can't take anything he says seriously if you drank the bind. Why? Because he's obsessed with you. It will wear off. You can't trust him like this. You can't trust him regardless. But you especially can't trust him now. I have not considered this. I thought Aaron was bound to me physically. I hadn't considered it at all, whether he was emotionally too. Aaron coughs. Excuse me, he says, louder this time. What are you talking about? I feel better somehow about telling him this is now that we are in front of Nuala. We put a bind on you yesterday and I accidentally drank it. That's why you woke up outside my house. You are bound to me for a bit, I think. Aaron looks horrified. I need to go, he says. Where? Anywhere, he snaps. Aaron storms out and we watch him through the window, attempting to cross the street. He's halfway over the pedestrian crossing when his neck snaps back like a dog being pulled on a leash. We watch silently as he flails at the air, the invisible string buckling his shoulders together, the leash becoming an invisible lasso. The struggle continues pathetically for a full minute until he is back on our side of the road again, looking terrified and embarrassed at once. He is, I can tell, too mortified to come back in the shop or even look through the glass at our pitying expressions. Maeve, Nuala says softly, has anything else changed in the last 24 hours? I hesitated. What do you mean? She takes a length of her hair in her hands. This, I mean. I blush. Does this happen, then? when Nuella looks at somewhere between amused and concerned. She can't decide which. With witches sometimes, yes. Why? She shrugs and says something so utterly surprising that I have to immediately make her repeat it. I have to make sure I've heard it correctly. Magic loves sex, she says. What? Why? Because it's natural, because it is the opposite of control, because it drives men crazy, because it gives women an income, because it's everything that hates magic, also hates sex. Wow. It was, she begins, then casts her eye outside. It was Rue, wasn't it? What? I asked dumbfoundedly. Then I realized who she's looking at. You think that, with him? She looks tensely from me to the window. Well, you turn up in the morning with a boy. I don't know. It has barely been 12 hours since I lost my virginity. To Rue, but for the first time, the fact that I did or doesn't feel weighty or serious. It's actually extremely funny. Funny that I have the best hair day of my life. Funny that you can let people into your body. Funny that people get so obsessed with it. And funny, above all, that I am talking to my 45-year-old friend about it. And despite everything, we start to laugh. Aaron walks back into the shop, seemingly ready to simmer down from his tantrum, ready for everyone to focus on him again. And Nuella and I are quaking and shaking with laughter. I'm holding on to her shoulder, realizing that the more I laugh, the more my muscles tense, and the more I can still feel that slightly bruised feeling between my legs. I had sex yesterday. I want to sing. I had sex yesterday, and I feel fine about it. What are you two laughing about? He says. The implication being, I'm experiencing some trauma, you know. I look at Aaron's empty face and realize that despite him being older than me, no one has ever loved him before. Not the way Rue loves me, or even the way Nuella and Fiona and Lily love me. I feel the magnitude of love for the people in my life so powerful that the only feeling I can summon up for Aaron is the sense that he is very, very small. Wilted like an unnourished plant. Aaron watches us confused, and then Nuella turns back to him. She scans him and seems to realize that even if he cannot be trusted, he is still powerless enough to be feared. You didn't have him in your house, did you? She asks finally. I'm sorry, he interrupts Nuella. It is. We've not met officially. Nuella's eyes him suspiciously, and Aaron doesn't seem to have the strength for the charm offensive. Is this really the same guy who made a room full of people confess their deepest secrets to him? The guy who had everything hanging on his every word. I quit the children, he says. That's one thing. What they are doing isn't Christian. Sorry, I had nothing to do with Christian values. It's just coercion and greed, and them trying to swallow up as much of the map as they can. Once they drain everything out of Kelbeg, they'll just leave, and all the new followers will be left completely radicalized. It will just run on and on. But why bother with the radicalization to begin with? I ask. It's a part of the puzzle I've never understood. I can grasp wealth and magical greed, but hate for the sake of it? Don't know. Look, he answers. Let's say they want to gain a foothold in Ireland. They know it has wealth and they want magic, right? But this business of is expensive and it relies on connections. And there are all these Catholic groups that want to see Ireland become this beacon of Christian values again. And they've got money to spend. They've got the right connections in the government. They can help get us in the right rooms. The stuff with your school. That stuff with your school, Maeve. 2 phone calls. 2 phone calls is all it took for the children. A major contract with the Department of Education. They couldn't do that on their own. It's like this spider web that goes out and out forever. And the right-wing religious thing is handy because it distracts. It's distracting. It gets everyone looking at their left hand whilst they pickpocket with the right. He pauses and rubs his eyes, exhausted from the burden of his own knowledge. As soon as they've got what they want, they move on. They plant the idea and just let them fester. Festering, Nuala says, sternly, that you helped contribute to? He burrows his head in his hands. I know, he says. I'm sorry. Nuala considers this, narrowing her eyes at him. I lost someone to the housekeeper, he says bleakly. And when I did, the children were there. They told me that my friends and I were sinful and that we had used powers in a sinful way and that the only way to find grace was to save as many people from the same fate. I suppose you asked me once why I hated gay people, Maeve, and I don't. I didn't even then. I said, God does. I feel rage rising up through my gut. How can a loving God, but my God was not a loving God, he says, exhausted. He just wasn't. And when people like me hear people like you, people who think God just loves everyone regardless of what they do, even if it's against the Bible, we think you are just naive. That you are purposefully denying the word of God. You don't need to tell me what people like. You think, Nuala replies bitingly. Ireland was built on people like you. People were imprisoned all their lives because of that kind of bigotry. I'm not saying I don't deserve punishment, Aaron says. I'm not trying to deny that I got caught up in the power, I guess, but all my life I've been hearing from people like you who want me to change my mind. And now that I am trying to make things right, you don't want to hear it. I look at Aaron and Nuala, notice that they have fallen into staring competition. There is a feeling of 2 invisible forces in close, silent combat. This is probably what it looked like earlier this year when Nuala and I briefly occupied each other's thoughts. I've never been on the outside of one of these interactions, always in the middle. They are both utterly still, the stillness of the wild animal meeting the human. Then Nuala muscles relax and the feeling of struggle evaporates. All right, Aaron, she says, sighing. I suppose we get to work, and I wonder if I'll ever find out what went on in there, what happened exactly between Aaron and Nuala in that moment. Manon arrives, holding 2 takeaway coffees from Bridie's, and takes in the scene. "You drank the bind," she says, her tone annoyed. "I didn't mean to." Manon closes the door behind her and gasps of sharp, cold air is trapped in the shop. Nuella and Aaron and I shiver and rearrange our clothes. As for the smallest second, I see Manon watching us all. Not even watching, scanning. Nothing, observing. The streaming hot coffee sits in her hands, comfortably in thin, hot paper cups against her palms, as if picking up the thread left by Aaron and Nuella's psychic conversation. Manon's energy seems to knit us all into a bond. It's hard to explain. Some invisible transference of information seems to happen between Manon and her mother, between Manon and Aaron, and I think between Manon and me. Our eyes meet briefly, and some part of me, the sensitive part, the part that will never go away, regardless of what well I happen to be sitting on, realizes that Manon is something else, a witch, but something more than a witch. She's like me, but not the same as me, not the same the way Aaron is the same. She's something more than human, something extra. I try to dig at the truth, summoning the fragments of magic still left inside me. "What are you, Manon?" She breaks eye contact and it's gone. Whatever glimmer of the true Manon I almost witness becomes buried underneath elegant French woman, whom my best friend has a crush on. Good luck, Fiona. Not only is she too old for you, she is also deeply enchanted, a secret and possibly ancient thing. A secret and possibly ancient thing that still resents her mother for leaving her. We need all of us together. You, Fiona, Lily, Rue, Aaron, Manny, at my house this evening. Rue is gone, I say. He's left for touring this morning. He left you, Nuella says, disgusting. In the middle of all this? That doesn't sound like Rue. Well, we can figure all of this out tonight. Come to my house later. Right now, I need you two to leave. To leave? Why? Because it's my busiest day of the year. I have about 75 orders to fill, as well as the usual idiots who will come in here looking for tarot cards for their Halloween decorations. This is really a good chapter. Ooh, really nice. So I'm just going to see, it's quite a long chapter. Okay, so bear with me. I might have to do this in 2 sections. I have to do this in 2 sections. Take care. Bye-bye.